Hi everyone, I'm a scrapbooking photographer, Linda's my name, and today I am here to take part in the Coast to Coast collaboration for August. So as you're probably aware, the Coast to Coast collaboration works off prompts from the deck of cards of Story by Stacy, which is a close to my heart product. So the prompts that we have been given for August are friendships. So in amongst that group is besties, inside jokes, groups, how we met, roommates, childhood friends. So I'm sort of mixing together the groups and childhood friends and using one of my school photos, which is actually the first school photo that I was in. So this goes back to 1970, and so this page will go into my album of me. Monochromatic colour, well, that worked well there too because it's black and white. And interactive, I will hide some journaling behind that, and I'll show you how I do that later on in the video. And song lyrics or a poem, thank goodness underneath here it had haiku, so I have written a little haiku to go onto this page. The paper pack I'm going to use is called For Always, and it was one that Close to My Heart brought back a couple of months ago, which is just delightful. It's fairly monochromatic with a lot of black and white, except for the sticker page, but there's things down here that I will be able to use, and also some of these pages will just give a little bit of lift rather than using solely black and white paper. I will, however, have it black and white on the back. A couple of stamps that I'll be using are this one, which is called the Love Doily. It came with the For Always set, and I just think it's beautiful. I haven't used it yet, so I'm going to really try and fit that in somewhere today. And also as an alphabet, I'm going to use the Havana alphabet, which I think resembles a little bit of chalk writing. So we'll put all of that aside and get down to basics. Okay, so I think the black frame is going to go around the outside of the white piece. The first thing I'm going to do is gut the middle out of this black piece. And just give it a generous amount. I always like to give it more than is needed. So coming in and going between the same lines each time and working it around to get that middle out, and then we can reuse that middle in what we're doing on the photos. So we have a piece of 12 by 12 with the middle cut out, which is here, and I'll be able to use that, for example, to mount that photo there. So for this to fit in here, I need to obviously cut 1/2 inch off each side, or what I'm going to do is cut 1 inch off 2 sides, and that will have the same effect. Okay, and there we are with that. Now, as you might or might not be able to see, that cardstock is quite fluffy, and that's because the blade in my trimmer is getting a little blunt. So to fix that, I will go around the outside with the ink pad. Now, you've probably seen me do this before, and you've probably seen me use a blending brush or a piece of sponge or whatever. Today, I'm just going to use the ink pad, and I don't really mind if it's a little bit splodgy, but it will just cover that, cover up that frame piece. But obviously I'll do it on all 4 sides. Okay, so the main component of today's page layout is this one photo. Now, it's appeared to me to be quite a lot bigger than a normal 6x4, but in actual fact, when I measured it, it is only 6 1/4 by 4 1/4, so not a lot bigger. I don't really want to cut the white frame off because I think that sort of dates it quite nicely, and on the companion page when I make it, there are more photos of a similar nature for the next 4 years of my life. So what we're going to do is pop this. I want it to end up about there, so there's some room for our pretty stamp up here and the heading and our haiku and our hidden journaling behind it. So with all of that going on, I don't want to overload it with mounting it, but I do feel that a lot of black would be a bit heavy. So I'm going to just put a little very thin line of black around it, so that will give us something to work with when we plan the rest of the page. It's interesting when you look on the back, there's the name of the company, ND Timpani, school photographer, PO Box, Papatoe, and their phone number. So that's pretty cool. I don't imagine you could get extra copies now. And this has got my name on it. That's the way the teachers must have organised who was getting what. There's such great things to look back on, and I think I can name quite a few of the kids in this class, and of course some of them went through school with me right through to the end. Now I want to bring in some pretty paper, and because we're using this stamp, I'm going to select this paper from the For Always pack and just cut a strip to come down in the middle there. So I've taken the zip strip off, and that should go the full length. So I quite like the way that goes right over the edge of the black frame as well. So that brings that in nicely and gives it somewhere to sit. And I want to bring some more of these shapes in, which I'm going to do with this beautiful stamp. Because it's a new one, I haven't used it before, I'll just season it with the palm of my hand and get that extra layer of stuff off so that the ink sticks to it well. Just mark where this photo is, because I want the shapes to come around here just to mirror that. You can get rid of those two bits for now and turn this over, ready to do a little bit of stamping. Now I'm going to do it in a couple of different colours, so I'll start with a lighter pewter. Oh, that is as beautiful as I imagined. That's very cool. I'm not particularly happy with the way that stamped or this bit, but nothing ever happens that shouldn't happen. So what we're going to do is cover this piece with that piece of paper, and we're going to cut a strip of pewter and bring it out underneath for the title. Okay, so we've got that piece there. This piece is going to come under and just cover that piece there, and it's going to look like it was meant to be. And I don't want it to go all the way over, so I'm going to cut it when we get there. And then this fits where we wanted it here. Okay, so that's coming together nicely. Right, the next thing I want to do is the title. Okay, so sticking with the black ink, and we'll keep it on here so we know roughly where it needs to go. And using the Havana alphabet, obviously we're going to need two O's. So we'll do this one first and then put another one in that gap. So the title is going to be School Days, and the days will be in a different font. So just make sure we haven't got any on the block around it. And if you hold it up and look through, you can see that the ink's got a pretty good coverage. And so then we can come down and keeping it nice and straight by looking at the gap at the bottom. We can pop that in the right place. And now we need the extra O, which I'll put on this block. It has to go sideways, but it's a really good idea to use the smallest block that your stamp will fit on, because that will keep it in the right place, hopefully. Cool. Okay, so my second font is from the Pennant, Banner and Alphabet. So a little bit more of a block letter. So just giving you the mix between formal and fun, which is what school was in those days. Pop it underneath there. And we've got a little squiggle line. I'll just pop that on there as well. we'll finish stamping for now, so I can turn this back over and get the full effect by the black piece at the bottom and bringing this in. So you can see that our stamping errors have been quite well covered. I'm going to trim this off, and then we're going to go around the outside of this the same as we did before, so that it all matches in. Now the next thing I think we'll do is our hidden journaling. So if I make a piece of hidden journaling that's going to slide in and out of here, I don't want it to slip right through. So what I'm going to do is use this plastic bag. So I'll cut the top off it first. So then it makes a little pocket for the journaling to go into. Now this die cut has a lovely edge to it, which I'm thinking we might be able to use. So I'll just check that it fits into the bag. Yep, it does. And then if we put that at the top of the picture like that, that gives us a nice piece to bring up. So the first thing we're going to do is stick the bag to the back of the photo. To do that, I'm going to use some fairly heavy duty double-sided tape. This double-sided tape comes from Spotlight in New Zealand, and whilst I wouldn't use it to adhere my photos or cardstock into my album, it's very rigid, so perfect for keeping this plastic bag in place. And I'll use it both attaching the bag to the cardstock and also when I put it into the album. So using this thin cut, it cuts out the middle piece, but it also makes a decorative part here. So what I'm going to do is use the inside as my journaling box. I'm going to cut that out in white, and then for the tab across the top, because I want something reasonably long, I might end up using the short side. I haven't decided yet, but I'm going to cut that out in black, and then we can fiddle and see what works best. So that gives me an extra piece. I might be able to use that for something else, but it also gives me this beautiful decorative piece. Now the white piece that came out of the middle of the white piece I cut is that size, and it fits quite nicely into our bag, so quite snugly. But what I want to do is add something for us to lift it up by. Okay, so I've got a piece of pewter which is the same as that, and I'm going to stick that on the back of here, and that'll just give us somewhere to make it obvious that it is a tab, and then I'm going to stick that onto the back like so. Just make sure it fits in our bag. Yep, that's what I wanted. Right, so I'll stick these down. First of all, I'll put this onto the black mount, using the grid to line everything up nicely. And just while I'm sticking that together, I'll encourage you to watch everybody else's video in this hop, because there'll be loads of different ideas and inspiration for ways to fulfill that criteria that came out of the deck of cards. So I'm going to put the heavy duty tape onto the back of the plastic bag as well, just so that it doesn't threaten to come off the page. Okay, so there's our little hidden journaling, and then it just slips back into the bag behind it nice and simply. Now I've got these little extra bits here which would be quite nice to use, which I think I'm going to put down just so that this carries on down here to the bottom. But I do have to make sure I get them on the right side so they follow through the same pattern as the one at the top. That way, giving the illusion that those black lines are coming all the way through the box. Okay, that gives me a little place to write my haiku. I'm a little bit nervous about writing this directly on the page. So I've made a little piece of black cardstock, and that's just going to fit in there, and I'm going to write it with journaling strips. And haiku is traditionally 3 lines long, with the first and third line having 5 syllables and the middle one having 7 syllables. So I'll just write mine up and then we'll pop it together. Get this stuck into the middle, so it'll end up being framed by the white. I want to have them like that, first line coming from the top on that side, and then this one in the middle going straight across, roughly even. Okay, so I might just do a little bit of journaling in there while I'm here. We can pop that back into our bag, and you can see it just slips in nice and easily there. Right, I think it's time for some embellishments. There's a couple of black and white things on here. It seems how we're sticking with monochrome, so I quite like this little tag, which I'm going to put with this dotty one as well. Just up in this corner, we'll just make this one a little bit shorter and trim it off. If you've already subscribed to my channel, thank you very much. Your support is much appreciated. If you haven't done that yet, perhaps this has inspired you to hit that button and keep up with all the other videos that come up on my journey. Now this film strip I thought could go quite nicely there, just to break that up a little bit. Okay, and I think a couple of little gems. I've got some black and white ones here, so I think we might use the stars. Okay, so if we go back to the sketch, let's see how we've done. We've got groups and childhood friends for friendships. We've got our haiku down here. Monochromatic colour, well, it's all in black and white, and the interactive is our hidden journaling in the plastic bag behind the photo. So that's all of those criteria ticked off, and another page for the album of me. So thanks for watching, everybody, and I hope you enjoyed that. Happy crafting!